Okay.
Oh,
Okay, we are recording in progress. There we are. Hi, everyone. I'm Priscilla Costner.
I'm Tony.
And Tony. We, along with Kathy and Michael Davis Weiner, who you'll hear from in a couple minutes, are so pleased that you're here. We've been working together for, it seems like a lifetime, because back in 2008, we co-chaired Israel's 60th anniversary. And here we are again, 3 years after we tried for Portland's 100th year of federation, and a trip that at the last minute was dissolved.
Literally the last minute.
And here we are now looking towards 2023, Israel's 75th anniversary, almost as old as we are. Certainly older than many of you. We are thrilled that you're thinking of joining us, or you are joining us. We're looking forward to a wonderful, wonderful trip. We've got it all planned out as much as we can, even with COVID happening.
And it's looking great, and it's going to be a great time of the year there, and just can't wait. Just can't wait.
And so now you need to know, if you haven't met them before, Kathy Davis Weiner and Michael Weiner are wonderful co-chairs. We love working with them.
Mutual.
We've had such a good time.
They're a very nice younger couple.
Glad we have some younger people on this trip. But anyway, we're going to have a great time. Kathy and Michael, take it away.
Well, it was 1 week before the trip got called off that we decided that we had to call it off because things were too uncertain. And that was almost 3 years ago. And we are so thrilled to be going now. And one of the things that we want to emphasize is there's something for everybody on this trip. I mean, there's history, there's culture, there's geography, there's geopolitical things. And what we can do for you is whatever you want to get out of this trip, because Israel is the absolutely most fascinating nation on earth. And for those of you who have never been there, you're just going to be blown away by this. And the itinerary that has been prepared is just wonderful because it has a little bit of everything for a little bit of all of you. So I can't tell you how thrilled we are that although it's 3 years late, we're going to go and we're going to have a wonderful time. We just really want you to join us. The logistics are going to be taken care of. Don't worry about the logistics. We'll talk about it later, but we will take care of all the logistics. It's just going to be show up and have a marvelous, marvelous time.
Well, I can only duplicate what Michael said, but I also want to add that doing a trip with Federation, Michael and I, and as Priscilla and Tony have said, we've done them together, and Michael and I have also led other missions. It is truly an amazing experience to do a trip with Federation, because you are so taken care of, every single detail. And if there's an issue, you'll never know about it because the chairs and the staff deal with it. But the amount of time and the quality of the staff and the guides is just amazing. And you may not know, but our last trip had 400 people registered. And because of the increase in the cost of traveling now, we've had to limit it to 250. And we're still doing a subvention for everybody that is attending. So there's a $1,200 about subvention. The good news is, well, I should say, the bad news is we had to limit it to 250. The good news is you're here at this informational meeting, and I would just really suggest, if you're very interested, sign up right away, because there have been tons of calls to the Federation staff that it's starting to be talked about in the city. So we want to make sure that that you get your name in there. Anyway, we can't wait to have fun with all of you.
Thank you, Kathy and Michael, and thank you, Priscilla and Tony. I'm Caron Blau Rothstein. I've probably emailed with a lot of you, and if I haven't, I'm sure I will, or we've spoken on the phone. I work for the Jewish Federation, and I've had the good fortune of being the project manager for this trip, along with our president and CEO, Mark Latner. You've probably talked to one or both of us over the last few years or over the last few weeks. And as our chairs have said, we're really excited to be able to bring this trip to you. We're 102 years young now. So instead of celebrating just our centennial, we're actually going to be in Israel during Israel's 75th year, which is a marvelous time to be in Israel. And I think that it was already mentioned that the weather, it's a great time to be in Israel weather-wise in the spring. And we are excited to have participants from age 5 all the way on up. I'm not putting an upper limit there. If you feel like you can go on this trip and you're excited to travel with a group of your new best friends, then we want you to participate with us. So I know that there have been some questions in the chat. I'm just going to run through a few things that we've had questions on over the last few weeks, because my feeling always is, and I always tell my kids, is if someone has a question, you have that question, probably 5 other people have that question. So first of all, the trip website is incredibly valuable to you. So pdxisrael.org is your best friend. That site is curated by our tour operator, Kenes Tours in Israel, and they are working with us to bring you all of the relevant information that you need to prepare and plan for this trip. So you're going to find flight information on there. You're going to find travel insurance information on there. You're going to find medical insurance information on there. You're going to find a sample itinerary on there. You're also going to find the ability to register on there. And it's really important. You'll notice if you're going to register now that there's 2 tabs for registration. One is for 2020 and one is for first time registration. As Kathy mentioned, we had close to 400 people registered to join us in 2020. And those people are being re-registered in a different way than new people who are joining us on the trip. Everybody is absolutely most welcome. Just be aware of which button you're using when you're registering. The second thing is when you complete your registration initially, you have to fill out the sections that have a red asterisk next to them. So there's going to be some things that you don't know yet. You don't know your flight itinerary yet. You haven't booked those things. You don't necessarily have to have your passport information yet, but anything that has a red asterisk is a mandatory field that must be completed in order for your registration to be processed by the website. Another thing, when you finish that registration and you press submit, if you don't get an email from CVent, that's C like the letter C, then your registration didn't go through for some reason. And we know that some of you have already tried to register and that there are some glitches, and we apologize for those. But like with everything else, we ask for your grace. And all you need to do is get in touch with Mark or me. We'll let Kenes know and we'll get that taken care of. We'll make sure that you get registered. So don't let that deter you, or don't let that frustrate you. We'll make sure that you get registered, but you must get a confirmation email and you must save that email, because there'll be a confirmation number in there. And when you get your flights and when you have your passport or when you have additional information, you're going to use that to go back into the website. And if for some reason any of this technical stuff is like, you're like, oh my God, I've never registered for something online, that's okay. You can call our office. We'll go through registration with you. That's not a deterrent to you being able to participate. But we're just past the days of paper registration forms, and we're doing this to streamline things to you. And we'll be doing our communicating primarily through email as well. So it will be important for you to check your emails for us. So those are things about the mechanics of registering. Some people have asked about the extension to Petra. We are revising the itinerary to coordinate it with updated flight schedules, and we hope to have that up within the next week to 10 days. We will be sending out an email to the community when that is available so that you can know. And if you're planning to go to Petra, It is a first come, first served trip. There will be one bus going. And we ask that you wait to book your air travel until you have your complete itinerary that you've done. So the pricing and that itinerary, excuse me, will be available shortly. We're working with a wonderful travel agent who I think actually is joining us on this call. Orit Topfom is the president of World Express Travel in Los Angeles, and group travel like our trip is her specialty. And she and her staff are unbelievably fabulous to work with. And they can help you get a seat on one of the designated flights that she's holding space on that is listed on the website. Or you want to come early, you want to stay late, you want to go to Paris first, you want to go to Paris on the way back. No problem. Orit can help you with those things. So if you want to book travel with Orit, you would contact World Express Travel directly. And if you want to use those wonderful points that you've collected over the last couple of years that have been gathering dust, you're certainly welcome to do that. The website lists when is the latest that you can arrive to join the group and when is the earliest you can depart to conclude your experience with the group and not miss anything. So, Mark, I'm going to pause and look at the chat and see, Mark, if there's anything you want to add from looking at the chat while I've been chatting.
I think I've answered or addressed many of the questions that were in the chat. Orit, I don't know if you're on the call, if you want to answer the question about flights. We are holding multiple flights for people on different airlines. Orit, is that you? Are you there?
Yeah. I'm here.
Great. Orit, you want to talk a little about the flights and, one of the questions about changing their flight. So,
Okay.
Hi, Orit.
Hi, sorry, I just joined you lately. So we just have a free option of flights. We have United flights via San Francisco, and then we have the El Al flight via Los Angeles and via New York. Everybody that needs separate before, after, feel free to call us and we will help you on, we will get back to you, I promise. Another thing people want to use, upgrade to premium or business class. So that will be a separate ticket. It will not be part of the group tickets that we're holding. To make it easier and in order not to start getting reservation on the phone, we had the form and we really encourage everybody to fill the form with the first name, last name and information, because we need to have the correct spelling as appear on the passport for all reservation. And this will make, easier with no confusion.
So the form hasn't gone out yet. We're just revising the graphics on it. So we will get that out to everybody shortly, and it will be available on the website by the end of the week. So we're just
okay, sure. But even different airlines that we have or whatever, just call us, say you're part of the Portland, and my staff and myself are able to help you.
Yeah. Orit, will you put in the chat both your email and your phone number for people?
I just put the phone number. It's okay.
Okay. She's quick. I can't beat you, Caron. Come on.
Yeah.
Orit,
will you put your email in? Orit, put your email in.
Okay.
Okay. Just to answer some other questions about a single supplement. Somebody asked earlier about a single traveler. We have many single travelers going on the trip. If you need to find a room partner, we are happy to help find somebody to share a room with you. We've been able to match everybody so far. Is there a single supplement? Yes. Caron, what is the charge for the single supplement?
It is $1,510, $1,510.
Okay. So a single supplement is $1,510 extra. So, just let us know, register. And if you're unsure, if you want a single room, or if you'd like to find a roommate, just let us know. And we are happy to help you in that venture. I just want to add one thing and it goes on with what Michael and Kathy and Tony and Priscilla said, and that is we're finally going to Israel. And I know that it's still 7-8 months away, but we are going to take this trip. We're going to enjoy our trip. We're going to have an incredible experience. Caron was just there last week. I'm going at the beginning of July for a short period of time. But the bottom line is people are traveling. There's a group from Pittsburgh there right now that has 250 people on it. They are open, ready for business, and they're looking forward to Portlanders coming. So sign up, don't miss your slot. There's only 70 slots available. And the quicker you sign up, the more secure you'll be in having that space on the trip. Oh, Priscilla?
Yeah, just want to say that we've worked on missions of very many sizes. I've done it for years and years, both with the Federation and with the UJA and JNFF. It takes a lot of work to make it work. And 250 people is a great number. I mean, not great in terms of size, huge, and we can't do it. It's a terrific number to work with because you've got all kinds of mixes and matches and people with different interests. You're going to meet people you haven't met before and make best friends. You'll be with people whom you do know. Kids will have a great time. I see there are a couple of questions about kids. Caron, you may have more of the numbers on that, but from ages 5 and up, they'll be doing some things by themselves in age group, and they'll have their own counselors. They will have a great time for certain activities when the adults are doing other things that are not necessarily kid appropriate. I don't want to say kid friendly, but kid appropriate, more mature conversations to have. And the kids will be doing their own thing. And it's a great time of the year for the kids to be there too, because the weather is not too hot and it's not too cold. It's right there in the middle.
Spring break.
It's their spring break, and in Israel, springtime can be delightful. So the 250, please don't find that to be a daunting number. You'll be comfortable on your buses and you'll be comfortable in any of the activities that we're doing. And if you're traveling alone and want to share a room, as Mark and Caron have said, we can match you up. If you're wanting to have a room by yourself, you will not be alone. We will all be an extended family and have a terrific time. 250 is a great number. Thank you.
And
I'd
speaking
like
of,
to
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'd just like to add that this trip is not meant just for first timers. If you've been there before, things are happening all the time in Israel, new things. Just when we had planned the 2020 trip and had everything planned, and then Mark went a few months later and there were more new things. So we want to make it so that it's interesting and fulfilling for both first timers and returnees.
So I just want to answer a couple questions that were in the comments in terms about room configurations and all that. We've been talking a lot about single rooms. There are some of you who are traveling wonderfully with not just 2, but 3 generations of your families. And Israeli rooms are not quite all the size of American hotel rooms. So a triple is more standard. And so if it's a family of 4, where there might be a quad, but you're going to there'll be 2 rooms that you would sign up for, of 2 doubles, and you would work that out. Or if it's 5 people, it would be a 3 and a 2, and we can work on getting adjoining rooms, no problem. But quads are not as standard in these hotels that we're traveling in, but you will absolutely be together or in rooms next door to each other. One of the other special things that I want to mention on this trip, and I know we had people in 2020 who were looking forward to this, is we will have a B'nai Mitzvah experience at the Kotel, in an area that is egalitarian, where men and women, people of all genders, can be together. And this is both for the young and the young at heart. So this will be a weekday morning service. And we would absolutely love, and as it gets closer, we'll reach out to you to talk about this. But we would love it if that's something that you want to experience. Maybe you want to celebrate the anniversary of a bar bat mitzvah, or maybe you want to have one for the first time, and there will be groups of people likely going up to the Torah for an aliyah together. It will be very informal. Nobody needs to get a special dress or a special suit. This is Israel. This is casual, but you can celebrate this with your current family, and as Priscilla said, with your new extended family of best friends that you're going to make on this trip. But that's going to be on one of our travel days that we are in Jerusalem. And it's one of those things that I'm actually really looking forward to on this trip, is watching this experience and celebrating with those of you who choose to include this as part of your experience. other questions?
Caron, I
Yes.
see a question here. Never mind. It's been answered already. Thank you, Mark, about the track days when the buses will be mixed a little bit. Okay, that's it. I don't have to say it. It's there.
And we will be traveling all together in the sense that we're all going to be in a Tel Aviv hotel together. We're all going to be in a hotel together in the north, and we're all going to be in a hotel together in Jerusalem. But you will have time to be with everybody. And people asked about free time. There will be time to shop, to peruse, to relax, and to step aside from the group when needed. But we think that this is, going to be a great combination of time with community, time with your family. And, you go at your own pace. Some people said, oh my gosh, we're going to Masada. Are you going to make me climb Masada? The good news is that they have cable cars that go up Masada. Nobody needs to hike up Masada. So whether you're a triathlete or you're a couch potato or anything in between, you can be on this trip. But I do also want to be candid. It is a trip. You're traveling to a foreign country, and there is an amount of travel time involved, and this is an active trip. And again, if you need to stay on the bus for an hour or two for a particular thing, whatever. But one of the great things is because it's not going to be hot, the heat isn't going to overwhelm you like it sometimes can on a summer trip. So that's why we're so excited to go in March. But you can certainly go at your own pace. And if it needs to be a little slower, then it's okay if it's a little slower. We're going to have people of all different abilities. And in terms of staying on extra dates, Orit can help you with that flight information. And if you'll see, you also have the opportunity to book additional nights, either early or late at the hotels that we're staying at. And, or you can have your own hotel reservations. Maybe, again, you have points or you have family that you're going to stay with for a few days. So all of those things are possible. So as much as this trip is together, there are also ways that you can customize the pre and post that are unique in particular to your family and your interests.
Karan, I'm just trying to keep up with some of the questions in the
you're
chat.
doing awesome, because I can't talk and read and type at the same time.
Yeah, so just on the dress code, we will let everybody know what kind of clothes to bring. There'll be certain days that you might need to have more modest dressed, have your knees covered, your shoulders covered, etc. When we're in the old city or at a holy site. But we'll make all of that aware to you way before we leave. All the food on the trip is kosher. If anybody is requiring Mahadran kosher food, you just have to let us know, and we'll make sure that is provided. On Shabbat, there's multiple options on Shabbat, but for anybody staying in Jerusalem, we will have food at the hotel ready for you on Shabbat. So all of that is taken care of. And I think that, and we're going to visit Masada at sunrise. If we get a group of people who want to go up Masada at sunrise, we'll send a bus down to take a group up at sunrise.
Mark is going to lead that group.
I've done it too many times, but happy to go again. So.
And you'll ride a camel the whole way up. Is that it?
No, we'll walk it. We'll jog it. How about that? We'll run it. Even better. So I think that's where we are with the questions.
And I will tell you, because we had a chance also on our inspection trip to scope out and suss out the hotels for you that we're staying in, and they are positively lovely. There is nothing more to look forward to than an Israeli breakfast. It is a sight to behold, unlike anything in America. And it's a great way to start your tour day off with fresh vegetables and cheeses, and it's just, and olives of every kind you can imagine. And it's just wonderful. And our hotels are really lovely and well situated to get you in Tel Aviv to the beach, in Jerusalem to get you to the old city and the Kotel or downtown. I just stayed in that area, and I was able to walk to Ben Yehuda, and I was able to walk to the Kotel without breaking a sweat, and at a nice pace. And so it's really centrally located. It couldn't be better. And our hotel in the north is just lovely and picturesque. And so I just think that all that's going to be really, really terrific.
Karan, there was a question about, are all the people on this trip Portland area folks? Do you want to address that?
Sure. So the bulk of the people going on this trip are from Portland. And that gives us an opportunity to make connections with our literal neighbors. But certainly if there is somebody in your family who lives outside of the Portland area, they are welcome to join you, but we're really trying to focus the trip, especially since we've cut the number of available slots, to people who are in the greater Portland area. We want to make sure that we're serving our community. And so we hope that those are the people who will be joining us, again, because we have these limited spots. If for some reason something changes, you all will be the first to know if it's open extremely broadly. And we're absolutely happy for our Eugene cohort. We had a great cohort from Eugene last time, and we're so happy. We will be including some site visits, which have yet to be scheduled, with some of the organizations that we fund through our Overseas Special Projects Committee, from funds that come from generous donors like many of you in our community. And we will do our best to communicate with you early and often. So it's really important that you check your email. It's really important. Would that I could call all of you all the time, every time we had an alert, but we really have to ask you to make sure that PDX Israel at Jewish Portland, and I'll put it in the chat, is in your contacts, in your address book for your email, and also Cvent, which is the event platform that Kenneth is using for your registration. And you've got to check your spam. I do it habitually. Sometimes things that were normally coming into my regular inbox, somehow one day Microsoft decides that that's junk mail. And so it's really important for you to do that, to make sure that you're getting information in a timely fashion. And we're going to try really hard that when we email you, it's something that you need to know. So please don't delete those emails without reading, because we'll need to hear from you. And when you see that there's an action item, we ask that you make the time to respond in a timely fashion and by deadlines. So we would really appreciate that. And Mark and I are available in the office to answer your questions. Sometimes we need to kick them up and out to Orit or to our colleagues in Israel. And so there may be a little bit of a time delay in getting back to you, but we will do our best to answer you in a very timely fashion for any questions that you have.
Caron,
Yes.
I'm sure that Kathy, excuse me, Kathy and Michael, Tony and I are also available if you see us, if you want to send us a note, something that we might be able to answer along with Mark and Caron. We'd be happy to help you out with that.
Great. Look, we are lucky to have 4 incredible chair people leading this trip. They've been on plenty of trips to Israel. They are the most gracious hosts and hostesses you could ever find. And they're super fun. And they're just going to make this trip that much better. So don't miss out.
Fun first.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
There we go.
Anything else? Any
Do you
other
want to
questions?
talk, Caron or Mark, about the insurance?
So it's always important when you travel, but now more than ever, it's incredibly important to have travel insurance. And there are some recommended provider options on the website. Certainly, if you have another provider that you work with, you're welcome to do that. What's important is they typically require the purchase of insurance within 1 to 2 weeks of you making your deposit. And I can't tell you what a particular provider requires of you. We ask that you read the fine print yourself and make sure that you understand what you're getting into. Obviously, some policies have changed since COVID happened. There are cancel for any reason, including COVID policies out there now. And we would encourage you to get one of those policies and to understand that we learned from what happened last time that things can happen that none of us can predict. And to the extent that you can protect your investment that you're making in this travel experience, we want you to be able to do that. We're not offering a group policy because, as I learned from my own recent travel, what it costs for me to get travel insurance and my husband, who's older than me, it's not the same price. So we can't offer a flat rate for everybody because it literally is custom to your birth date. And so that's why we need to ask you. You guys are laughing. You'll have to tell me about that later. But anyway, so that's why we encourage you to do that on your own. In addition, there's a medical insurance component as well, and there's information on that. Some of you may have different kinds of coverage based on your insurance, and there may also be different things in place. Until recently, there was a requirement by the United States to test negative for COVID before you could leave Israel. There's no longer any entry requirement for COVID testing into the US, regardless of where you're coming from in the world. And currently, Israel has no entry requirement to get into Israel for testing. I can't tell you what it's going to be in March now, but I can promise you that Mark and I and our team will make sure that if there are different requirements, you will know about them in enough time so that you can act on them so that it doesn't diminish or take away from your travel experience in any way. So if we have to talk about masking, if we have to talk about vaccination requirements, if we have to do about all that, you will know about that in enough time. But the one other thing that you should work on now without waiting to hear from me is your passport. I bet some of you have some dusty passport, and you should not wait to look at your passport. And if you need to renew your passport, or perhaps you don't have a passport, maybe this is your first international trip, you must apply for a passport as soon as possible. And you must have at least 6 months left on your passport from the date of our return, not the date of our departure, but the date of our return. So we return at the end of March. If you're coming with a group, add 6 months to that. That puts you at the end of September. I'm going to say you don't want your passport to expire any earlier than October of 2023. If there's any concern, please go and get your passport. I can't help you with that. That is something, that's the one thing I can't do for you. I've now told you what you need to do, and I'd strongly encourage you, because the wait times for processing are incredibly unpredictable right now. And so it's really important that you take care of that now. And Mark mentioned people had questions about dress code and other things. When it gets closer to the trip, we will hold trip orientation meetings, because the kinds of questions that come up as you get closer to the trip are very different than the kind of questions you have for registering for the trip. So right now we're focusing on the registration process, but we will be with you every step of the way. And as it gets closer, because even though I like to plan in advance and I like to pack in advance, I don't think I could pack now for March. And so we will get you that kind of information as it really becomes sort of more in your face, imminent that the trip is happening. So don't worry. If we don't answer that question now, we'll answer it later. We also will have a Facebook group for those of you who like social media and like chatting that way. That will also be available for everybody. I know it's not everybody's favorite thing, but other people like to share photos. I like to share questions, or, ooh, I found this great RFID passport holder. Maybe you want to buy it too. Or, ooh, I bought a luggage scale. Maybe you want to buy it too. Or, ooh, I'm going to the airport. Do you want to share an Uber? Whatever it is. That's another way for people who like that kind of communication to talk with each other. So as I said, right now, we're really focused on registering and making sure that we answer those questions so that you can get yourselves registered, get your flights booked, and all those things. And okay, you answered the flight question. It'll be economy class. And so if people want to upgrade, Orit can help with that. When it is time to choose tracks, we'll make very clear what tracks are family friendly, what tracks have a more active component, and some of them may be first come, first served, depending on how many buses, because some of the sites that we would go to have limitations on how many people can be there at any one time. So all those details are to come. But I can just tell you that the itinerary, the base itinerary that everyone will experience is fabulous. Israel is literally the land of miracles, not just the land of milk and honey and tasty treats, but it's a land of innovation. It's a land of history. It's the land of our people. It is incredibly inspiring. And no matter how many times I go there, and I've been going there since I was in the womb, because my mother is Israeli, it never ceases to amaze me. Never. And I know Tony and Priscilla and Michael and Kathy and Mark have been there countless times as well. And I think we are all in awe every time we go, because there's always something new to be inspired by. And the new could be an archaeological find, every time they want to build a road or build something new, or it could be a brand new innovation. Priscilla.
Yeah, when you talk about new, in the midst of what's happening in the Ukraine and what's still happening in Ethiopia, Israel is welcoming new immigrants literally day by day, week by week. I don't know the exact schedule, but just last month or earlier this month, there were 2 plane loads of Ethiopians being brought into Israel for resettlement and reunification with their families. This is through the Jewish Agency. We've been doing this for 40 years or more, and it never fails to inspire me. If anyone is interested in seeing that video, even a few minutes of it, as the Ethiopians come off the plane, and you just see what we're creating and making possible in Israel. This is part of the story. Also, the people coming out of Ukraine are deciding by the hundreds, literally, to make their way to Israel. So I'm sure that part of one of the tracks, at least, will cover immigrants and refugees and immigration, sponsored by the Jewish Agency, which is one of our main recipients of overseas dollars. So there's always something happening that either by age or by familiarity or by hearing those stories, it's going to catch you and it's going to grab your heart and your mind, and you'll feel like, I'm home. It's a very special place to be.
Other questions? You guys have been really good about using the chat, but if anybody wants to unmute and ask a question, you should feel free. Barbara?
My daughter, I'm ready to sign on the dotted line. My daughter, who is actually an employed person, is less sure. If it takes her a week or so to figure out if she can do it, are you going to be full and she will have lost her chance? Should I put a deposit down for her now?
I'm not sure that we know how quickly registration is going to fill, so I don't think I can answer that question for you unless I'm also going to go buy a lottery ticket, because I just don't know. I just don't know those things. So, I mean, I will say that the deposit is non-refundable.
I know.
But if you think that there's a strong chance that she's going to go, I would encourage you. There's no other payment. Payment is due. The rest of it, the payment schedule online is not due till the beginning of January. So if it were me, I would err on the side of caution to reserve her spot. If we had unlimited spots, then I would say, sure, you can wait a week. But I mean, I anticipate after this call, I'm expecting my inbox to be full of registrations. That's what that would be our message to you. And this is not like one of those furniture stores saying they're closing for business and next week they're also closing for business. This is really, there are a limited number of spots. We're not going to add more buses to the trip.
Okay.
So I hope that you'll both join us, Barbara. In terms of the timing of the dates and any school spring breaks, we encourage you to look at your particular school that your child or relative would need to take time off of to see. It doesn't overlap perfectly with any break because it is over 2 different week periods, although it's not a 2-week trip. So we ask that you look at the particular schedule. And, we certainly think that you could definitely have an away project for going on a historical experience like this and hope that school would accept this experience. is a wonderful once in a lifetime opportunity.
I'm almost done. I'm gonna stay. I'll just stay.
So, other questions or comments? Well, Mark put our contact information in the chat. And if you know the Weiners, or you know the Costners, feel free to stop anybody in the grocery line or be in touch with us anytime. Oh, Kathy?
I just want to say one of the trips that Michael and I led, it ended up that the community was so connected from this trip that for several years after the trip, we got together on a regular basis. So one of the things that's our goal is to connect more people together and feel like you're a part of the community. And it's really rewarding. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Kathy. And thanks everybody for making the time tonight. We hope that we excited you and encouraged you to log off this Zoom and log on to the website and make that registration. And if you have a friend or a family member who's been on the fence, tell them it's time to get off the fence and get on the registration page and join us, and give us a call tomorrow or later this week if you have questions. And we can't wait to see you all in Israel.
Chaim.
So thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.